Welcome back to the Ed Show, and thanks for watching tonight. If the question is, can America produce safe nuclear energy to prevent the kind of crisis we're seeing in Japan? Well, then the answer is not so comforting this evening. There are 104 nuclear plants in the United States, and like Japan, some of those plants are highly vulnerable to earthquakes. The two Diablo Canyon plants are built on fault lines outside Santa Barbara. Another plant sits on a fault line outside San Clemente. Despite this, the American Medical Association released a study in January that said the nation remains poorly prepared to respond adequately to a major radiation emergency incident. For some measures, as many as 85% of responding states reported insufficient capability to respond to a radiation incident. It's not good. But the nuclear power industry is still lobbying to relicense these old reactors. 25% of them are leaking or have leaked radioactive waste. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission gave more than half of these reactors brand new 25-year licenses. And if you're wondering where the bipartisanship in Washington is, look no further than nukes. House Republican leader Eric Cantor reaffirmed a commitment to nuclear power this week. President Obama outlined a nuclear energy strategy in his State of the Union address and in his budget proposal. And not long ago, he said we should model our nuclear safety measures on Japan.
There's no reason why technologically we can't employ nuclear energy in a safe and effective way. Japan does it, and France does it.
But nobody expects an earthquake. Joining us tonight is Christian Parenti. He is contributing editor of The Nation magazine and author of the forthcoming book, Tropic of Chaos, Climate Change and the New Geography of Violence. Christian, good to have you on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I think Americans, myself, wondering about the integrity of the structures that are out there in this country. Your thoughts on that? They are old.
They're old and they're rickety, and radiation embrittles metal, and most of the crucial components in nuke plants are made of metal. One of the clone plants, there are 23 basically clone reactors, similar to the ones that we have melting down or half melting down in Japan now. One of the 23 that we have that are exactly the same as Vermont Yankee. Another one is Oyster Creek outside New York City, where we are tonight. Both of those are leaking. Basically, due to the embrittlement of metal pipes, the managers of those plants are unable to find where those leaks are, yet both of them are up for renewal. I'm not sure if Oyster Creek may have been renewed already, but Vermont Yankee has been approved for renewal. Yeah, so the management and the regulation of our atomic fleet is, I think, totally inadequate. They overlook all of the obvious problems. Most of these plants are essentially 40 years old. The NRC is not only relicensing them to run for another 20 years beyond the 40 years that they were designed to operate, but many of them have been given what are called power uprates. So they're now allowed to run at 120% of their designed and intended capacity. I mean, you wouldn't do that to a car or anything else, but they're doing it to atomic power plants.
And Mr. Parenti, how would we upgrade these facilities? How big a lift would this be for our country? How big of an investment and the logistics of it, engineering-wise, can it be done, or would we have to start over?
Well, you could definitely manage these plants more efficiently and more rigorously than they are currently handled, and that would be a matter of the NRC essentially pressuring the industry to do what it should do, which is, do routine maintenance and replace parts that are broken, all that. But if you tried to build one of these plants now, you wouldn't have the right to do it. I mean, because they're like completely outdated. It would be like trying to bring a 1972 Toyota online today. It was just like you would not sell that car. But they want to extend these things for another 20 years and run them at 120% of intended capacity.
Now, the president has been advocating new nuclear plants. Is that a proper solution to all of this?
The new nuke thing is a canard. It's a pie in the sky. The fact of the matter is, until the U.S. government is going to socialize the costs of nuke plants 100%, private capital is not going to really get involved. So all the stuff you hear from Lamar Alexander and from Nunez from California about how they want 100 or 200 new plants, that's all just like smoke and mirrors, because Wall Street does not like nuclear power plants because they always go over cost, they're dangerous, they're really expensive. But underneath that discourse about new nukes, what's really going on is this push to relicense this fleet of 103 existing reactors, 104 existing reactors, and that's what's going on the DL, is pushing these things out way beyond their intended lifespan and way beyond their intended capacity.
And looking at our map there's a half a dozen of them on the West Coast that could be very susceptible to earthquakes.
Yeah.
How dangerous is that?
It's pretty dangerous. I mean, it's very dangerous. I mean, and from the beginning, people were complaining about that. You'll recall the movie China Syndrome is set in California, right? And 12 days after that movie came out, which was just some corny, Hollywood thing, 3 Mile Island went off. So, yeah, I mean, from the beginning, people were saying, wait a minute, why are you building atomic power plants on the San Andreas fault line and associated fault lines? Those fault lines are still active. I mean, there's no reason to think that there couldn't be a similar earthquake in California.
And those are old structures.
Yes, they're old structures. Radiation makes metal brittle, and those are embrittled, and it's very dangerous.
Christian Parenti, thanks for your time tonight. Very insightful. Appreciate it very much.